Welcome back. It's Nicole with Be Free and Design. Today I'm going to go over how I introduce debate to my students, how I help them structure their debates to create a strong presentation. And let's just get into it because I know your time is valuable. So on this side of the screen right here, this is the PowerPoint presentation that I do with them. I will take you through the entire PowerPoint, and then down here I'm going to pull up my worksheets that we do with the PowerPoint when the time is right. I am going to explain this well enough that you will be able to create these lessons on your own. But if you would like to support me and my shop, I am going to have my Teachers Pay Teachers in the description box below and also pinned to the top comment with this lesson. And then if you purchase mine, this is also the teacher instructions, and I'll show you kind of how I go over that and word it. If you do not have the funds to support me, please do not worry. I am going to talk about all the stuff that I present, so you'll be able to do it too. And watching to the end of this video also really supports me, so thank you for that. And like and share if you think it will help others. So the teacher that I took over for used to do moral foundations, and I love moral foundations, but I really enjoy putting it in a different context. The context of Harry Potter world really works well for me, because my students are pretty young. This does work, and this would work for high school age students. Some of the teachers in my district that I have shown this to and that have used it with their high school students have done great with it. But for my young students, this is a really good way to introduce them to the moral foundations without asking them questions that them and their parents might be uncomfortable with. So this is a way that I can frame it that is fun and exciting and really helps that communication and helps the parents feel like I'm, as a teacher, am not overstepping, which is really important to me. So right here, my very first slide is a little note. If you do buy my packet, before presenting, you can delete this slide, but there is one of the slides down here that has several options of links, and you can choose the one that works best for your students, depending on their age and what they want to do. And I just didn't want people to be surprised about that. So I left the buttons editable so that they can link to whatever they want to link to, and then once they're done, they just delete this. So my hook for this lesson is I bring them in and we watch the Harry Potter house, what it says about you, and then we talk about what people value and why it's important to respect those different values. And we talk about bravery and pride. This video helps that conversation flow a little more smoothly because it introduces different values. After this, then I just have a little explanation slide right here for the students of what we're going to do today. It's just so that it outlines the class for them. Then we watch this clip where they get sorted into their Harry Potter house, and I say, okay, we're going to bring out the sorting hat ourselves. Right here, it is time to choose your sorting hat quiz. This is the slide that I was saying is kind of subjective to what the teachers want to do. I have a written quiz. I do not include that in my lessons, but I include the link to it in my lessons because I use one from another teacher on Teachers Pay Teachers that it's a free resource. They did a fantastic job on theirs. I will link that quiz also in the description box below and hopefully help support her Teachers Pay Teachers, look through her other stuff and see what is a good fit for your class. And then I also have this official Hogwarts test right here. This is the one that parents do need to have permission to do. The kids just log in and then it says if you're under 13, put in your parents' email, and then it sends the email to the parents and they give permission for that. I give this as homework if the kids want to do it as an option. I have about half of them do it. And then this one is the sorting hat. It works without parent permission. It's just a little quiz that somebody has made about what house you're in. If you're an online teacher, so if you scroll down here, then I've got copy and paste substitute plans that have all the links in them. But a little bit further down, I also have the copy and paste student plans right here. So this is what I use if the kids aren't here, is I just copy and paste day 1 into Infinite Campus. They've got all the links and everything. This hopefully will save you a lot of time. So I have day 1 and 2, and then it has the outline of what we're doing, and then 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and it just kind of goes on. So right here are the 2 different tests if you are doing this online. So we go down, we take the test, and then that is usually as much time as my class has because I teach young students, they have a bit of a hard time just being on task for this part. They feel very overwhelmed by the debate. They're worried that they're going to be in the wrong house and what is happening, and I just help everything kind of flow. The kids have a lot of fun with it, but I always say, just like Harry Potter, if you don't agree with the test, you do get to choose which house you would like to be a part of. So if you disagree with the results, put what house you feel like you value, and that's the one you're going to write about. I'm not trying to get them to write about values that they do not necessarily think are the most important. I'm really trying to get them introduced to moral foundations, not as much just to the side of debate. But do whatever works for you and your students. Then we have day 2. I do have these worksheets available for them on day 1 if they get done with everything and they are ready to move on. But the whole class starts this on day 2. So right here, I have each side will have a chance to present their main ideas before the rebuttal. These are 3 minutes each, which is the largest amount of time during the debate, so use it wisely. So this entire outline that they have right here is to outline the main body of their debate. I have found when I break it down to be the debate in a main body, and then we do rebuttals, and we have a couple of days on that with the main body speech being done. After the rebuttals are done, then I teach the conclusion. It really helps pull the kids along with me, and I get a lot less questions. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we talk about what we're doing with this essay, that we need a topic, which we already have, what stance they are taking, and why they take the stance that they do. So are you for or against it, and why? Then I give myself a little bit of a break from talking, and I play this video. Usually to be honest, usually I don't get too much of a break from talking, and I deal with behavior issues during my videos, but hopefully everyone is behaving well and I can just sit down for a second and get a drink of water. So we watch this, and then I ask if they have questions about how to write an essay, and we come down here to let's take a quick look, and we go over each step of writing the debate. So I give them all of the examples. My name is Nicole, and I'm a part of the Best House Slytherin, and then I have them write something similar to it. Of course, they can use their own words. Over here, we've got the introduction paragraph. Once everyone is done with this one, I move to the introduction paragraph. I walk around and I make sure everyone does it with me. It just helps the learning process go faster, and it helps me not have as many questions. Not many of the same question a million times. Then we go here and I give them the example that I have right here, a quote from a member of Ravenclaw talking about what they value. At this point, they can't use computers, but they're about to, so they can look this stuff up. And then we go over the 3 main points, so that they need 3 main things for each house. Then we start with the claim. Include all 3 main points you will cover in 1 sentence. Write this in the form of a thesis statement, which is a single focused sentence that explains the main argument and the 3 main points from above. I love being a Gryffindor because we, and the 3 things from above. This is a really good start to where we're going. Also, this is the first time that I introduce them to the thesis statement. So even though I'm calling it a claim, because when we introduce ourselves in debates, we do talk about claims. I'm claiming that I love books and they're better than movies, and why. So this is me kind of tying it into those English roots. Right after the claim, we go down to the second page and they just turn their paper over, and we talk about how to find supporting details for their body paragraphs. So turn each of the main points into a full paragraph. The supporting details need to be evidence-based. This is where you find the sources you will be citing. Main body paragraph, there's the topic sentence, supporting detail 1, supporting detail 2. On this paper, I want the first supporting detail to be something real world or Harry Potter world of the main topic or the value that they are talking about in that paragraph. This second detail, I want it to be a story or idea that they have that is personal to them about the topic, something that has taught them to care about this value. I want them to put their own personal details in here, and then we go down here and talk about how to cite a source. I have, you will need to use sources, Harry Potter and the Perpetual Struggle to Find. Here is one great source. You will need to find one additional source. So they can click on this, and if we look right here, I have given that to them in their Canvas course. And so if you click on this, it brings us up this PDF. This is from the University of Tennessee, And I love this one. He does such a fantastic job really researching it. I'm going to show you really quick. So they've got all the sorting house, house dynamics, and they've got a bunch of great information about each house. And then it is long, so we're going to go quickly. They have some really great graphs, and he took a bunch of data, and I think it's awesome. He asked people to respond with a word that they thought of for each of the houses. He only gave them 20 seconds, and then he listed what people think of. This right here is solid gold for the students, and I tell them this is where you want to look for things that are good about your houses. You don't want to include stupid reasons your house is the best. For example, red, because they're red and red is the best color. You want to include things like brave, loyalty, right here, kind. This one makes me laugh, twilight. So this is really great data, and then it's got a bunch of other ones down here. So it just has a lot of really great information on it. That is the source I give them, and they do need to find another source, and I do include that right there. And we go down to the conclusion paragraph where it just states that they need to remind the audience of your main points, restate your claim, and your closing remarks or call to action. These are the closing remarks of this main body paragraph. It has nothing to do with the rebuttals. I want them to leave the debate with a hard statement to the audience of what they want the audience to get, so that they're not having to guess, and the rebuttals are a little bit easier to do because the other side knows what they're wanting, so they can go against it. It really helps clarify what they're doing. Then they have time to start working. So this is the end of day 2. Tomorrow I will teach them how to take all of the things on this outline and fill out this page. I give them a couple of days to do both things. I make them bring me this outline before I give them this paper, because I want to make sure that their papers are going to be appropriate before they put the time into handwriting everything. So on day 3, I start with saying, once you finish with your outline, come let me read through it. After I approve it, you can grab your second page and start writing your full debate. Also, if they are typing it right over here, I do have the editable online text, and I can link this on my Canvas page. They're 2 separate papers because this one I link and the other one I have in person. And I think we just have one more slide until I let them know that it is their time to work. So make sure you write in a 5-paragraph essay format. You are graded on this. Make sure it is in proper format, including capitalization and punctuation. Remember, start with a topic sentence, tell the main idea clearly, add 2 to 3 supportive sentences, give examples, facts, details, explain your main idea, and then finish with the conclusion. Wrap up the paragraph by reminding the reader of the main idea. So right here, I give them day 3 and 4 to work on this. If they get done early, I have stuff in my classroom that they can do. We have some debate games that I've already taught them the first week, and I have like card games and things like that. If you would like a video explaining the games that I play, just let me know down in the comments and I will make that video for you. There's so many great debate games, though it is hard to decide which ones to use, but that is what we do for fast finishers. I do allow reading or working on another assignment, but other than that, they're not allowed to do anything else, and I only allow that because I have a few kids that really have a hard time with the games and with social situations, and so that gives them the opportunity to bow out of those if they want. So after everyone is done with these, so this is several pages. Here's a body page for each one, and then I do have little reminders. Quick reminder, restate your claim from the introduction, reminder of strongest ideas, and call to action. So doing this right here, all of these little notes, I put these in because I was getting questions about them. So when they come and ask me questions, I say, did you read your worksheet? And they usually didn't read it, or I have them read it to me and I explain what it means if they do not understand. But I am pretty strict about you do everything you can do on this before you come to me. All right, sorry, I got cut off right there. My dog needed me. So right here, we're going to start with day 5. At the beginning of day 5, I have them practice their main argument. They're going to get with a partner. I let them choose their partner if they have been behaving really well. I let them know ahead of time if you behave well for this part. I will let you choose your partners when we practice the speech. But if you don't behave well, I will choose the partners for you. and then each of them will give their speech and time the other person, and then they will write down the time on their paper so that we know how long it is. It is supposed to be 3 minutes, but if it's not 3 minutes at this point, then they stop what they're doing and we're going to move on to the rebuttals. Now, really quick, I have them raise their hand and I see who is going to be in which house. So I tally up how many students are speaking for each house. I have not given them the chance to know who they're debating against for 2 reasons. One, I feel like there's a big negativity bias and they will be tearing down the other group instead of building up their own argument. And I know those of you that are English teachers out there are going to say the first 2 paragraphs need to be for your side and the third one is talking about the other side and against the other side. But because it is kind of a big debate and these kids are just starting out, I find that if I give them that opportunity, even if it's 2 paragraphs for their side, they will go through it super fast and really focus on that 3rd paragraph. So I tell them in the beginning they just need to build up their own side, and then later on we introduce mixing it together. Some of the kids that I teach that are 6th graders, I do not ever have them mix it together. It's just, here's all the great things about my house, and then you hear the great things about the other house. The second reason that I do not let them know who they're going to rebuttal against is because I don't know. With doing these house debates in this format, you're going to have a ton of people in one house, like Gryffindor, and quite a few in Slytherin, a couple in Hufflepuff, a few in Ravenclaw. I want each side to at least have a chance to debate against each of the other houses. Plus, doing that same debate over and over is not how I want them to be introduced to debate, because that does get kind of repetitious to listen to, even though I love that style of debate later on. But for this one, I want it to be new and different and to have a lot of fun with it. So I have them raise their hand at the beginning of class, and on the seating chart, when they tell me who is in each house, I write down an H, an R, a G, an S next to their face, and then while they're practicing, I will say, okay, this person is against this person. These are the houses of the other people, so they'll know what to debate. It's always worked out really well. It feels really chaotic in the moment, but honestly, I really enjoy that. If you don't like the chaos, you can always ask them for the houses a few days in advance and work on this at home and just kind of work on this on a break and then bring it to them knowing what's going to happen, but I don't mind doing it the same day. I am pretty lucky. I am able to use the hallway outside of my door so that it's not quite as loud, but you can do it all in the same classroom if you need to. Sometimes we go outside, which is really fun. And then we come back in, and I will have matched them up with who is against which person. Then we grab out the rebuttal after they practice, and we go for that. So right here is my rebuttal outline. I have them think in the minds of their opposition and write down what they will say. This is from the perspective of a Slytherin. If you scroll down here, it says, most likely reason the opposition will use to support their side, and the rebuttal, why they're wrong or what they're saying isn't important. We will do this together on the next slide for Slytherin. So if I was a part of Slytherin, I would say Gryffindors are brave-hearted. That's what Gryffindors would say, is that they are brave-hearted, but Gryffindors act without thinking and often get into trouble. And then on the thesis, page 15, that gives an example of that. What are your ideas? And then they write down the rest of their ideas. Here's the worksheet. Then they're going to continue this for the next 3 boxes. How to take your rebuttal from outline to a paragraph. If you follow the simple outline, you will get good enough at rebuttals that you will not need to write a full paragraph for each rebuttal that you prepare for the debate. They do this chart, and it usually takes them about 15 minutes for my students to fill this out, and sometimes more because they'll be looking things up, and I give them computers to use during this time. And then we move on to creating paragraphs. These paragraphs are mostly because this is the beginning of debate and I want them to make well-founded rebuttals. You will not need to write a full paragraph for each rebuttal you prepare for your debate. However, for now, we will write the full paragraphs to practice the formula. So right here, I have the formula. So on the next slide, I will show you how to use this with our example. Then on the next slide, I fill it in with them. It says, Gryffindors will say that they are brave-hearted, but that is not always a good thing, as it states in Harry Potter Thesis 15, because This also causes them to act without thinking. You can see this from Ron, who is a Gryffindor, acted without thinking, and it led to disgusting results. He tried to curse without thinking when his wand was broken, and it caused slugs to come out of his mouth. And then we will watch the clip that I got this source from, because I always tell them, the more you can put up for people to see, the better your results will be. So we watched that little clip, which is gross, and the kids love it. And then I also list that I got that from thesis page 15, and then I've also watched the show, so I included the show. Here is the quote, and then here is the formal source. And so I show them how I cited those sources right here. Later on, we will do slides. So I tell them, if you can link it, do, but if you can't, just write it down. Also, they can link it right here if they have the online version. Right here, you would take their number 1 and then they write down reason 1. I really love this format because it really makes them put their rebuttals into full paragraphs and not just say 4 or 5 words in the rebuttal, but really think it through and be conscious about telling their sources. So then they have time to work, and that is the end of day 5. We usually get done with this in one day, but I do have to walk around a little bit more with this format. It provides such a better result though, so I'm willing to do the work. And then day 6 and 7, they write the conclusion. So there are 2 parts of the conclusion. Right here, we write the conclusion. So after all the rebuttals, what is the conclusion that you want the audience to come to? I do let them know that even though they already wrote a conclusion in the beginning of their main body paragraph, that was just about the main body paragraph. Now they get to include everything that they did in the debate. These are 2 minutes each, and I will be timing them. In the conclusion, use your main argument and rebuttal. I have been talking to you like this would be an individual project, but I have done this where after we decide which houses they're in, I assign them a partner to work with where they're going to write this entire speech. If I do that, I have the partner and them write it together. They have to take turns talking during the conclusion presentation. It is really important to me that in these beginning debates, both kids get to make some really strong points in the conclusion. And also it just gives them a sense of we did this together when they share the conclusion paragraph. Right here, it says that each area must have around 5 sentences. Make sure it includes capitalization and punctuation. I mean each paragraph that they write for the conclusion. It does need to be 2 minutes long, but they need 5 sentences per paragraph. I will get them writing 1 or 2 and wanting to skip to a new subject. I want it to be well thought out, especially for conclusions. Then once they're done, they're going to practice at least 3 times, especially if they have a partner. They're going to try to work with each other and kind of trade off who's speaking when. It's a big deal for them to be able to do this, but I really think it's helpful when they end up doing presentations in other classes that they are able to bounce ideas off each other a little bit. All right, so here is what is expected. Make sure you include a call to action from your outline here. So, or what do you want the audience to do with this information? It should look something like this. You could be great, you know, it's all here in your head, and Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness, no doubt about it. The Sorting Hat from Harry Potter. We should all want to achieve greatness. I want you to show it by joining Slytherin with me. So that would be the call to action. This section right here at the end of the conclusion part, I said do not fill it in yet. So we use this section while the other group is giving their speech to write down what they said to remind us of what they said during the speech. So there's just a few boxes down here to have them write in, and I give them an example of that also. Right here at the bottom, it is time for them to practice. They need to go through it with their group at least 2 times, and they need to say all of the different parts of the whole speech. And during the rebuttal, I have the audience come up with questions that they can rebuttal back and forth just a little bit for a bit of practice. Then we present our debate. The reason that I am so specific with what we're doing now is because later on, this outline becomes the outline we use for almost all of our other debates. Other than my mock trials, they're a little bit different, but they still kind of use the same structure. Right here, I just would not have the Wizarding House world in the debate packet. I just have the debate packet and the little teeny note reminders in both online and in paper format. I do have a bundle package where you can get this entire lesson and worksheets that have this exact same format. They're done in the same way so the students know what they're doing for their other debates. I really enjoy this format. It's given my students really high quality work. My main point of putting this all together in a big packet was to use it for maternity leave. It's written in a way that the substitute could be the sub for all of these days and understand what they need to do for each and every day. And then I do have down here the daily lesson plans for students so that you can copy and paste this into your online school or into your online course like Canvas that I use. So hopefully this will help you save time. This has taken me a really long time to do, but I have enjoyed it. And if you can't afford it or you don't want to purchase it from me, I hope this helps you create what you're hoping to create and gave you some ideas. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. What I am hoping by doing these videos is to create a community where we can help each other. I know a lot of teachers or homeschool parents are teaching debate without having done it in the past or without having taught it in the past. So if you have questions, please link them down below. Also, if you have things that you do that for your first debates or other debates, if you would also comment so that we can learn from each other, that could really help out. Please like and share this. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support.